What's going on, everybody? I was giving Sheets a minute because I thought he was going to make it in, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case here. I'm going to do something really quickly, and I'm just going to do a quick little screenshot of what I've got going right now. I'm still editing some lineups, but I have this stuff in the premium for my, I try to show as many late lineups as I can, and I'll just give a little glimpse into a little bit of what I'm doing. And then before I get in trouble with DraftKings, I will get out of there. So that was just a quick look at some of the builds. I did a lot of what I talked about earlier today. I didn't show it. Oops. Sorry about that. Why is it sharing the wrong screen? There we go. You get to see my text messages. All right. I got to get my thing worked on here. Sorry about that. Let's see. I will do a quick glimpse. See, that's how afraid I was of getting in trouble, because we did get in trouble for this before, but that's sort of a very quick glance of my builds right now. And let's see what else.
Sheetbot said true DFS MLB projections have been
Sheets
updated.
got the
They should be
projections
available on
updated. That
SaberSim in a few minutes.
Pop it in here soon. This is a little bit of my DraftKings. Anyway, basically doing a lot of what we talked about earlier. I'm going to stop the share because I don't want to give everything away there. But I think that there's a lot of really good arguments for a lot of these stacks, and I am going to do something a little bit weird. I actually have Houston as a pretty high ranked stack, and I know Manning is talent, but I really like Houston as the big sneakier stack of the day. And I am mixing it with some chalk because the low ownership is allowing me to do so, and I like the wit in the 6-hole. With the stolen base power upside, obviously going back, the wind blowing out. Love Chapman, probably my favorite of the Blue Jays, obviously. Love Vlad, but I don't want to just play all the chalk there. So Cardinals, Astros, Yankees, and then, Cardinals, Astros, Yankees, yeah. I'm just getting to less of Tampa Bay and Toronto as full stacks, but I am using them as complementary plays in a number of my stacks. I don't mind them as little 3-man or 2-mans. I just don't want to play a full stack build on, that 20% of the field's going to have. I think Pitt. Yeah, I do have some Pitt stacks on FanDuel, Eric. I think the Pitt is totally viable today. I think there's a lot of good and bad in that whole situation. I have one lineup with Pavetta, but mostly I'm on the side of the hitting. It's just really bad hitting weather, and it kind of took me off the game that I was originally going to stack the most. I still like Atlanta. I think they're kind of sneaky against Nats, and I think that people are giving all the Cardinals credit for the great hitting weather. So Atlanta on the other side, I think it's a really interesting thing when you get Atlanta low owned. So that's why I'm siding with Atlanta, Houston, and the Yankees as the low-owned main stacks. The Cardinals as well, but they're not quite low-owned, so I don't know if they qualify. But that's a lot of what I like tonight. Not really playing the Dodgers much. I do have a couple lineups with some of the lefties, but just not trying to get heavily invested there because it's kind of ugly hitting weather also. And I just think the Rays and Blue Jays are too popular to fully stack, so I'm going with my secondary ones, and I really like what I've got. I also have some 4-3s, 4-2-2s, more than I planned to today. I was going to go full stacks almost exclusively, and I just decided to get a little bit different in certain lineups because I like the way it worked a little bit better and I just think it allows you to get a little bit off the board. KC, yeah, so I do like KC, but the problem is I think it's going to be a situation where you see KC, it's weird when guys like Reyes and Dozier are really popular. But yeah, great hitting weather for them as well. I do think that outside of one way you can get different with playing KC is you can play Duffy and Dozier, or just playing Duffy at all. Because I do think KC as a full stack, maybe I don't like as much, but I think you're gonna have ownership on Witt, you're gonna have a lot of ownership on Reyes on DraftKings, and you're gonna have a lot of ownership on Salvador Perez, basically, and Hunter Dozier. So it's just you're getting too popular a little bit. That's just a little more popular than I want to go. The Cardinals are a step down a little bit in terms of ownership, depending on which guys you choose to play. You can play Tyler O'Neill and Tommy Edman at low ownership. I think that you get to, and then you get to why I said I like about Houston. Don't get me wrong. This could go terribly wrong for Houston, but you've got 2K outfielders. I can play Bieber and Scherzer and stack Houston comfortably with Toronto. That's what I'm doing in a lot of lineups. The Red Sox, the Red Sox I'm playing include all of them. There's not a Red Sox I don't have in any of my lineups. So I just don't have as much Red Sox as I initially did. Just the hitting weather in that game is just not ideal, especially for power. But they are so low owned. I think it's worth just playing for that reason. But I don't think like you should be playing like 75% Red Sox or something. That's really tough. Initially in the day, I kind of thought I might, but it's just the weather is just not good enough, and there's too many other great hitting spots on the slate. Not to mention, like, I don't know. I think Contreras has some talent, like, and I'm just curious what happened in the offseason. I'm not saying to play him tonight, but I don't think he's like the worst play. Just throwing that out there. Oh, I'm with you, Steph. I'm playing Scherzer everywhere. I have Scherzer as my highest owned. Second highest owned is Bieber on DraftKings, then Valdez, and it goes the same on FanDuel for me as well. Yeah, but like Eric, the problem with the A's last night is you couldn't have won with them. Like I don't think like you couldn't have won tournaments with them. Like there was just, everybody went off last night. It was just nuts. Every team went off. I mean, the A's did lose the game, didn't they? Any love for Baltimore? At least 2 or 3 mans. Yeah, I think that there's. I think the Baltimore. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. These allergies are killing me lately. The Baltimore stack. The Heaney thing is like kind of weird because it can go either way. And yeah, I mean, I think Heaney's getting a medium ownership, so I don't mind the idea of a Baltimore stack in sort of a funny spot to use them. Like I don't think most people are going to do that. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly low-owned Baltimore stack, which I think is in general a good thing. There's just so many better stacks for me, but I don't mind if you want to do that. Yeah, of course you can cash with them. Like, but my point is that your goal? Are you trying to play to min cash? I wasn't saying you couldn't. Like, first of all, I had some A's last night, so I don't know what that means. But I don't like the "I told you so" for min cashing. That's not an "I told you so" moment. When everybody goes off and that team is like 5th in production, it's not like a time to go, I knew it. Let's see. Scoring is going to be up as long as the weather is good. That's the only thing stopping it. Franco is just a great player. Franco is going to be great for a million years to come. So I'm in Franco. So yeah, the question about thoughts on the race players is my thoughts are chalk. I like this. I like the spot for them. I'm not playing 25%, 30% owned guys on a massive slate. Like I'm just not doing it. It's just they can be in my 3-mans. I think I have some of them on FanDuel, but I'm just not doing it on DK at that popular. No, I'm not. Trout didn't even consider. I don't even know what that play is. No, I'm not on the Dodgers today. Even last night when they scored a bunch of runs, you couldn't have won with them. You weren't going to play Hayward and Taylor. I don't like playing games in the 50-degree weather when we have 80 degrees with wind blowing out, and we've got teams in domes and stuff like that. I don't need to do that. Winker, what about him? Let's see. He's a guy. I don't know what to say about him. No ownership, yeah. I mean, why not? Sure, if you want to. It's yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, because he must have a history off of Scherzer. Is that it? I don't get it. Texas Rangers stack. So the Rangers are not one that I've gotten to, but I don't mind like a mini stack, especially. Like I like Seager. I don't worry, he'll start hitting. But I kind of like Kyle Gibson a little bit, to be honest with you. They've looked bad so far. At some point, Texas will start hitting. I kind of thought about Kyle Gibson for a minute. I threw him into, I think, one lineup, but yeah, I don't think you're trying to play against Scherzer on these kind of slates. I just think that's a really flawed logic. Like, I get it, but like, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing? Those are valuable positions. Like, there's so many guys you could spend down for today. I don't want to play a guy against Scherzer just because of a potential thing. I just think it's like, look for that on like 3-gamers or 4-gamers. There's no reason to do that on a 13-game slate. Top pitchers for FanDuel. Yeah, Scherzer is my top pitcher on FanDuel, followed by Bieber, followed by Framber. I actually think Framber's like the clear, like obvious guy you should play, like probably even in cash, but I would rather play for the upside. And I don't want to, and the ownership of Framber is another thing that worries me. So that's why that's the reason Framber's ownership is the reason why I'm way higher on Scherzer. And I just think even if they were the same owned, I would rather play Scherzer, just in general. And I think that Bieber is, I just would want to play the absolute aces, not just the most consistent, really, really, really good pitcher in a great matchup. Yeah. I have like almost no Bichette. Like sounds like fear. It sounds like you're talking about like cash game type builds, because a lot of the plays you're mentioning seem to be that build. That's my fear for the Tampa Toronto thing. Like you have a huge slate here, and that's why I'm playing. I can play Toronto if I play them with, as a 3-man with a 5-man or a 4-3-1 with like Houston, because that actually allows me, or Atlanta or something, because then you're getting super low ownership on a high power offense. And you're not relying on all of Toronto, like the chalk to go off. Because like you can't like win with Toronto stacks most of the time here, and yet that's how people are going to play. It's just not right. Mets stack. I think the Mets stack is the same thing that everyone always tries to do to Wade Miley, and it never ever works. Having said that, you have a good hitting team and a theoretically really good hitting team in a good hitter's park. And I'm not going to like take issue with it, but I just personally think there are better stacks out there. What's up, Sam Su? Yeah, I talked about the KC. I have no thoughts on the NBA slate. My thoughts on this NBA slate are the 13 gamers I'm out on. I can't do it. It's just, there's no way, like it's ridiculous. You're even with all the research, I just think it got too out of hand when all of my guys kept just not playing. And even though I made money in the month and it was like hard for everybody, and sometimes the navigating helped, it just feels wrong and I don't enjoy it at all. And I'm working like crazy. We're trying to make some upgrades to the site. We're actually doing some upgrades to the site. So just focusing more of my time on that. So I can't really, I'm happy to offer any NBA thoughts. I've looked through everything on the slate. I'm just not playing myself. It's too much. 4-4 on FanDuel. Eric, I have some. There's no rule for me. I don't like that. Actually, I hate that as a rule. I think that it's a really bad rule to set. I do think always having 4 is the right way to go on FanDuel on full slates. Yeah, there's no reason in the NBA I'm not going to do it right now. Like it takes so much time to actually figure out the right answers or possible. You're playing. It's not for me on a 13 gamer. I'll play tomorrow though. I'll tell you guys about that one tomorrow. Oh, but BBF is off onto the Phillies, huh? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I did not really consider that one at all. I like the Yankees for what it's worth. But I didn't really get to the Phillies much. I'm kind of confused at why the Yankees aren't more popular, to be honest with you. I understand the other spots are better, like I guess in the wins, but like you play the Yankees righties here, and I think that's another really good stack. That I was debating which one I was going to side more with was between Houston and New York. I ended up playing a lot in New York also, but I'm more on the Houston side as well. Yeah, but you have all the lefties. I mean, the lefties in Yankee Stadium trying to hit into 10-mile-an-hour winds in the cold. I don't know. It doesn't sound like an ideal situation to me. That's like that negates like all of the stadium. I mean, there's still going to be some home runs and stuff. It's not like that bad. It went 8 miles an hour from right field. It is a little warmer at 66, but it's still not warm. This is not like good hitting weather. Yeah, I mean, and if you want to play them, like go ahead. I just don't understand the full stack of them. Like, I guess is my thing. I don't think this game gets out of hand in their favor enough. And meanwhile, why wouldn't you play the Yankees at the lower ownership on the other side who have the righties, which is what you actually want today in Yankee Stadium, not the lefties because of the wind direction. Against Matt Strom, who knows what that is in basically a bullpen game against the Phillies, it might be a really, who knows? This could be like a bloodbath. I just think the Yankees are more interesting. Yeah, I don't understand. I just can't. I don't know. I can't get behind it on this slate personally. Sure, Derek Hall, but like why not? Okay, Derek Hall versus Cassis, basically both unowned. Cassis will have a little more, but like they're not going to be owned. I just would play Cassis for the most part. Even though, yeah, sure, it could be Derek Hall. It's just hard to know, like, what, I don't know. Hard to predict which one of these guys is going to hit a home run tonight. They're both in the same type of situation. I like Cassis a little better. But I wouldn't fault you for Derek Hall, I guess. And I don't see any reason to get down to like the bottom of the order for me. I just, not for me. I think that's like so creative. It's like that's more than you even need to be creative for the 150. So if you want to do it, hey, you will have zero ownership on that stack. There'll be like a couple other people who have it, but like it's only because like there's a million people who play in those things. But yeah, if you want to do that, try and win that tournament. Go ahead. I'm coming more at it from like trying to win the 555, but I do want to, I'd love to win those too. And I have some other weird stacks. I just rather bet against that, the worst pitching spots than those ones, or the more fragile ones. Like, I don't believe Detroit's bullpen. I think they're going to be horrible. And I just think if they end up, getting to Manning early at all, then you have that bullpen and it could be just like, oof. So Mike Carr is saying to target the Phillies. I didn't get to Herman, but I certainly don't mind it. In fact, I might even end up putting him into one lineup where I needed like a little bit of value. I have the Gibson lineup somewhere, so maybe I can use him there. But yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. Favorite stack for a small field GPP on FanDuel. I like the Yankees and Astros as my get different stacks. I also really like Atlanta. I like Atlanta. St. Louis is not a good enough to get different stack, but I do like them. And then you get into Boston and the Dodgers. So that's sort of the order for me. Let's see, what else do we have? Anybody? Sometimes people start talking in the MLB channel during this, and it's hard. Yeah, let's see. What else we got? Looks like we're kind of drying up on stuff. I will talk about the NBA if anybody wants to. I'll just talk for a minute about it, I guess, because it seems like some people want to. And I'm an NBA guy. It's just, this isn't basketball. And it's not like I'm not happy to play some of those slates when that's all that's happening. But I would rather focus on getting geared up in baseball and everything. I mean, Jordan Goodwin it's Jordan Goodwin season, it looks like. I noticed earlier that like some of the projections seem like they hadn't gotten right yet. It's really weird to see Theo Maledon projected at 38 fantasy points, but I actually get it. Those would be, I guess, two of the starts for you. It's weird, the Kai Jones thing, but they just don't have any players. But okay, I guess I probably would be below people on that. I think I'd be below on Jalen Johnson. I think I'd be probably below on Sadiq Bey, but I don't mind it. I probably will. I'm fine with Ayton, but I think that I'm not that interested. I'm just looking at some of the value projections. What are some other ones? Oh, Zach LaVine. I get that play. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting. It's a big slate, so there's a spread out ownership outside of the value, but it's just such a weird slate with so much things we don't know yet, and we don't have lineups, and it's just going to keep being that way. So I'll answer any questions if anybody wants to talk about it, but I personally am just off of this type of slate. Side with the teams with 8 players. That's what I would say. That's where I always stand here. All right, guys. Well, it sounds like things are drying up. I appreciate you all. If you don't mind giving a like, I appreciate it. I will be in the premium Discord if anything changes. And good luck, everybody. I hope you guys crush it tonight.